Hello and welcome back to the WSMX programming training. In this lab recording, we are talking about task 5.2. Um, and yep, I would say that we directly jump into our smart test session here. What's open here is this distortion AC underscore DS API underscore mod variable test method code here. Last thing we did in the previous task is to add this measurement .spec .set variable statement here into the execute part. It's important to do that before the measurement object actually is executed. And yeah, so in the lab manual, we are then asked to um, add a new test suite definition to the setup part of the distortion flow. So for that, we go here to the distortion flow, double click on it. We have here first the standard distortion test suite, the distortion underscore API, and now here we are adding a statement for the new one, test suite distortion uh, mod. That is the name of the test suite, and it calls the distortion AC underscore DS API underscore mod variable. Okay, so please remember that when you're using or doing the labs in an offline session, that you really follow the name for the test suite here, because otherwise the offline result emulation will not work. Okay, then we have to add a lot of statements here. Many of them are just copy paste from the other test suites. Um, we basically could, oh no, those two, of course, we do not need because we are using the device setup API, but we're talking about those. Um, I'm more doing it as for the sake of completeness because it's also in the lab manual. But if you would go into the test method code and scroll up, then we already have some values here provided. So we could basically omit those. Nevertheless, we follow the um, lab manual and just put it in there. So we have here the number of cycles, the number of harmonics. We are also adding a settle time here, which is 10e minus 6. And now for the SRC amplitude also we have a value of 3.5, and that is exactly also the name, which is the value which is usually here in the test method code. We are talking about that one here, the mod variable, and also here SRC amplitude is 0.35. Okay, let's save that one. I think that was bullet point number 1. Then we are asked to go down to the execute part here of our distortion flow, and after we add here basically execution statement for distortion underscore mod test suite execute, and then most importantly here now um, we are adding a change of the SRC amplitude. Oh, there's no content assist for that, sorry. Amplitude of 0.32. So now here in the execute part of the test flow, we actually pass on a different value for the SRC amplitude, and that is actually a value which was used in the test method code here in the device setup API, or in the other one, and now we use here the variable and the additional variable here. And why we are doing this, maybe it's easier to explain if we just save this now, and if we execute this distortion test flow. Let's see if we get a bind error here. No, everything seems fine. Okay. Um, I think in the lab manual it says that you should check the result tab here, and we see that the distortion mod was executed. And if we go now to the tests here, and we go to um, this doesn't really help a lot, but we're gonna filter after site number 1, then maybe it's easier to see. Seems I execute. No, here we have the test descriptors. What I wanted you to show is that maybe we go here and we want to have a look at the parametric test descriptor for the signal power. That looks much nicer. And now you see here that um, for the first two, the distortion underscore DS API and just the distortion test suites, here we have this value here for the power, and for the underscore mod it changed to that one here, and this is because we changed the source amplitude here. Okay, and now I would like to take some time and to really have a look at the generated device setup, uh, the specification files generated with the device setup API. So here we have the distortion underscore DS API, and here we have the specification of it. And let's also open the one for the modification that is now here. So here you see, always check that this one was generated using this test method code, and here that one, it's that one here. So, and if we scroll down now to the AWG setup, that you see first that here we have an additional variable here of type voltage, where we say the SSE amplitude is 350 millivolts. That's what we basically said at the beginning of the test method code here, right? That's also the value here. But if we go now really into the source waveform action here and we compare those two things, then you will see that the difference is here, that in the amplitude we still have, let's say, this hardcore at 350 millivolts, whereas here we have the SRC amplitude EV. And then later, this is exactly then what we do in the test method code, where we say here we are using the variable name here, and up here the variable is actually using this SRC amplitude V. And the interesting thing now that in the distortion flow, we then set this variable here to 0.32. And the SRC amplitude, this is basically the double value, which we pass on here. And then we have here the variable name, and that variable name goes into the device setup API, and this is why we have it then here uh, in the um, in the specification file. Okay, so long story short, the benefit of that one is that we have this one here in the specification file, and then during the test flow execution, we can dynamically change the value of a specification variable. And I think with that, we are done with lab number 5. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you had fun doing this lab exercise. I hope everything worked fine, and hear you in the next lab recording. Bye.